Imagine being imprisoned for getting married. It sounds ridiculous, isn't it? But in the 3rd century AD, this was reality. Emperor Claudius Gothix banned marriages because he believed that single men made better soldiers to fight his ego wars. He thought that attachment to their wives and children made men fear death in battle. Enter Saint Valentine to the rescue. To help the young men, he started conducting secret weddings for these soldiers. The emperor was furious when he found out and had Valentine arrested, beaten, stoned, and decapitated on February 14th. Yes, Valentine's Day is actually the day we celebrate Saint Valentine's brutal execution. So wait, are we celebrating the victory of a cruel king over a saint? Not at all. You see, saints perceive love from a very different lens than we do. Our understanding of love is romance, our partners, maybe our family or friends. But that is not true love. Only a saint understands true love. For a saint, love is not limited to their close ones. It is a state of being. They do not fall in love, they become love. And that is true for saints regardless of their religion. Jesus, even when suffering on the cross, had only love and compassion for his executioners. Buddha, who was full of love, even in his dying moment, set aside his own pain to teach a stranger, Subhadha, the path to liberation. The Sufi saint Mansur al-Halaj, in his final moments, prayed for those stoning him to be relieved of their ignorance so they don't continue to suffer. Sant Mahavir approached the deadly serpent Chandrasekhar at the risk of his own death to cure the snake of his wrath. Sant Eknath, who was carrying holy water to be offered to Lord Shiva, something which could lead to his life's goal of self-realization, poured it into the mouth of a dying donkey, seeing the divinity in that animal. And the same is true for Saint Valentine. While awaiting his execution, Valentine miraculously restored the sight of his jailer's blind daughter. Even on the day of his death, he chose to heal the child of the very person who put him in chains. That is why we celebrate him. Not just because he facilitated marriages, but because he showed us that true love is not limited to our partners, but extends to the whole of humanity. Today, we have lost the meaning of this divine love. We are deluded to believe we love others. In reality, this so-called love is only our selfishness. We would say, I love my child, my wife, my mother, only because they are mine. If they were not mine, why would I love them? And that is not true love. That is just our ego choosing to be attached to things we associate to be ours. Narad Muni in the Narada Bhakti Sutras says that prem or true love is indescribable. He yet attempts to describe it by calling it Guna-rahitam, which is independent of changing attributes, and Kam-rahitam, something which is beyond desires. But the love we understand is exactly the opposite. It is completely dependent on the qualities of the other person, and it only exists to fulfill our own desires. True love is not directed at one person. It is an unconditional state of being. Only when you have true love within yourself can you sacrifice years of your spiritual effort to quench the thirst of a donkey, because it's only then that you actually realize where your true happiness lies. Now, the question is, how can we inculcate this love in ourselves? You might think that being saintly is an unrealistic expectation. Well, let me tell you a secret. Saint Valentine was actually very selfish. But not selfish like us. The difference is, he understood the real self. You see, the fake self is greedy for material things, but the real self is infinite. Saint Valentine loved his real self so much that he became full. In that state, selfishness isn't about taking. It is about being so full of love for your own soul that it naturally overflows to everyone else. His sacrifice wasn't a loss. It was just his self-love expanding to include the whole world. When we practice this kind of selfishness, we automatically walk the path of saints and start becoming love. So, this Valentine's, let's not look for love, but be the love we try to find in this world. Wishing you a Valentine's Day full of love.